Hey guys, it's Paradise, and here are 14 must-have items for Faith users in the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. These are items that are so good they will have you deleting bosses and having a ton of fun in no time. So let's not waste any of your time. Drop a like and let us know if you enjoy these videos, and tell us what your favorite new Faith item is. We'll begin with the Anvil Hammer. This is a weapon that has carried many people through the DLC with its hard-hitting weapon skill, Smithing Art Spears, which is a multi-stage attack that shoots spears out of the ground that then linger, meaning enemies can walk directly in them and take massive damage. If you're going for a strength and faith build, as you can absolutely clap things with a little magic, then this is the perfect weapon for you. You can grab this from the Ruined Forged Lava intake in the altar at the end. It doesn't take long to grab it, and it can even be done right from the start of the DLC. And next up, one of the best things about being a Faith user is all of those cool incantations that you get access to, and sometimes FromSoft looks down and blesses us with an incantation that not only looks amazing, but actually deals a ton of damage. The Knight's Lightning Spear is an incantation in the DLC that will have you hurling tons of lightning spears at your enemies. The base Lightning Spear incantation was already really good, and this one is like one of the devs turned it up to maximum and made probably one of the best incantations for Faith build users all in one. You can find this in the Scorpion River Catacombs in the room next to the eyes that inflict Death Blight on you. Be careful and use the hidden ledge to quickly get across and into the room where you can find this incant. And then we have the Death Knight's Longhaft Axe. This is a long-awaited weapon. It's a lightning weapon that actually scales with Faith instead of Dex. What puts this on the must-pick list is that this weapon has an awesome skill that blink dashes you towards an enemy with a ton of damage tied to it. This is great for both PvE and PvP, and you can combine this with the Lightning Spear incant to make for an incredible lightning build. You can get this in the Scorpion River Catacombs. All you need to do is defeat the Death Knight that's in there. And talking about awesome looking weapons, the Barbed Staff Spear has one of the best looking weapon skills in the game, and if you're correctly spec'd for it, this thing will do amazing damage. Not only that, but it actually weirdly has the ability to bleed as well, so if shooting out a whole lot of God Beam rays at your enemies wasn't enough, you can also inflict them with one of the deadliest statuses in the game, which is bleed. You should 100% pick this one up and try it out if you prefer more of a ranged playstyle. You can find this one on the Walk to the Abyss Woods. You'll get it on the Yori Elder Inquisitor just after completing the Darklight Catacombs. Next up is something close to this area, and it's quickly becoming a frequent addition to many top tier builds. It's the Aged One's Exultation. If you were tired of seeing Blood Exultation in every bleed build, then you'll be pleased to know it's time for that to move to the side, because this is basically the Madness version of it. This gives you 20% additional damage whenever there is Madness in the vicinity, and it works great as there is a lot of Madness incantations that actually inflict it on yourself, making it very easy to control when you activate this buff. This is a bit of a weird one, as you can only get it by parrying an Aging Untouchable, which is the only way to kill them. You can find them here on the map to the west if you want to give it a go. But another item that's a bit weird to get but is perfect for Faith build users, it's the Sword of Light. This is a great hidden weapon that has a weapon skill that literally shoots out a ton of God rays towards an enemy. However, this isn't the only thing that makes it a must-have. What actually makes it amazing is that when you cast the skill, you get a buff that applies a 20% damage buff increase to holy damage, meaning if you're fully spec'd into holy, you'll get a massive damage boost after doing this skill, and the amazing thing about it is that you don't even have to have the weapon out after doing the skill. It's just a 60-second buff giving you massive extra holy damage. For this, you will need to visit the altars around the map and change the Stone Sheath Sword into the Sword of Light by interacting with it. There's an altar in each of the following locations: 1 in the Fog Rift Catacombs, 2 in the Unite Ruins, and the final one in the Ancient Ruins of Rao. If you want a more in-depth guide and full walkthrough, we have a full guide on the channel taking you to each exact location. Now, the Flame Art and the Mesmer Flame weapons are pretty busted in the DLC, so let's highlight some of those because many of them are S-tier weapons. It's great when a Remembrance weapon is actually good, and this seems to be the case for the Spear of the Impaler. Not only does this thing have an insane moveset, whereby you channel the moves of Mesmer himself, but you can also just straight up yeet it at enemies, making it very versatile. The Mesmer Assault is the weapon skill of this weapon, and it will send you into the sky doing a series of attacks just like Mesmer in the actual boss fight. We absolutely love this, and we think this is what boss weapons should be like. To get this, it's simple depending on how you look at it. All you have to do is beat Mesmer and take his remembrance. In keeping with the theme of flame and flame art scaling, another weapon that chonks and shot up the ranks of the best weapons in the DLC is the Fire Knight's Greatsword. This is a weapon that deals insane amounts of damage due to its scaling and the passive ability to have extra fire damage built in. It has an awesome moveset, mixing some of the best Greatsword moves from the base game into one, and if you use a specific Ash of War on this thing, the damage skyrockets. To get this, it's all about luck, as you just need to farm the Fire Knights in the Shadowkeep, the ones that are holding the Greatsword specifically. So travel to the first floor site of Grace in the Shadowkeep, and turn around heading down the elevator, where you will see one of these Fire Knights just ahead of you, and you can repeatedly farm him. That isn't, however, the only Fire Knight weapon, as the dagger version is just as nutty and works in the same way as the Greatsword. And if you farm 2 of them, you can power stance them, and this is where the damage really takes off. You can find this at the same site of Grace, but this time head up the stairs and look for any Fire Knights carrying daggers. There are 2 Ashes of War that you will want for builds as a Faith user, and that is the Flame Spear and the Flame Skewer. Both of these are very different, but they have the ability to cloak your weapon in the Mesmer's flame, allowing you to deal additional damage afterwards. These are the Ashes of War that you should be using with the Fire Knight's weapons, as they work so well with it. Flame Skewer also does a ton of damage up close, while the Flame Spear allows you to have a range option by shooting out a beam of fire. You can get the Flame Skewer by defeating the Invader at one of these following locations, and you can grab the Flame Spear at the 6th floor of the Shadowkeep, whereby you can find a Fire Knight at the end of the bridge that will drop this and the Winged Serpent Helmet. The next weapon is actually super cool because you can get it from the start of the DLC, and it has a unique passive ability which allows you to get additional damage when parry guarding with a spontaneous guard. If you slap on the deflecting tier and some buffs, you'll be destroying enemies like nobody's business. We love parrying, and this is definitely a weapon that you should pick up because of the great damage and good faith scaling. If you want to get this for yourself, just head to the Church of Consolation near the Gravesite Plains, the very first site, and defeat the knight just inside of the church for it to drop. Now, if you basically want to turn into the Faith version of Gundam Holy Rot Range Beam Machine, then this is the incant for you. The description of this says, secrete numerous sticky threads, then twist them into spears launched forwards, charged to enhance potency. This actually kind of undersells it, as this thing homes in on its target and does crazy damage to anything hit by the thread. For anyone making a ranged and rot-based build, this is a must pick, and you can find it near the Church of Bud, the main entrance grace point. The incant will just be guarded by an enemy. Lastly, we have the Talisman of Dread. One of my favorite weapons in the game as a whole for Faith builds is the Magma Blades, and this thing increases the damage of magma-based sources, so it's a bonus that we wanted to add it in, as it's just a great talisman. You can find it here on the map on a body in the Elder's Hovel in the Abyssal Woods. So there you have it, 14 awesome faith-based items that you can get in the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC and Elden Ring as a whole. Drop a like and comment to let us know if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more Elden Ring coming your way very soon.